A very good evening to you and welcome to ATN Global News. Let's take a look at the headlines. INEC begins distribution of materials in Edo State. INC sets up panel to probe IYC. Tinubu sends delegation to UN Assembly. OPEC condemns tax imposition. Israel warns Hezbollah over Middle East war. Manchester United set to quit Old Trafford. CK speaks about colleagues. And now the rest of our stories. Ahead of Saturday's governorship election in Edo State, the Independent National Electoral Commission has called on political parties to suspend all campaign activities. The commission, in a post via its official X handle, reiterated that call campaigns by political parties must end at midnight today. INEC said it is illegal for any political party in Edo State to engage in rallies, processions or media campaigns from midnight, and further instructed parties, candidates and their supporters not to appear at the polling units in their campaign attires or carry any campaign materials with them. INEC also said on Election Day, Saturday the 21st of September 2024, parties, candidates and their supporters should not appear at the polling units in their campaign attires or carry any campaign materials with them. Independent National Electoral Commission concluded the employment of more than 5,000 bimodal voter accreditation systems and other sensitive materials for the Edo State governorship election scheduled for Saturday. Sensitive materials, including ballot papers and result sheets, arrived in Edo State on Wednesday via Benin Airport and were transported to secure storage facilities under tight security, and 17 political parties are participating in the pool. The All Progressives Congress candidate Senator Monday Okpebolo, Asue Igodalo of the People's Democratic Party, and Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party are the leading contenders ahead of the ballot, while INEC officials and security personnel are supervising the transportation of the election materials to ensure accountability. Multiple senior INEC officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity said more than 5,000 BVAS devices would be deployed for the election, and INEC is preparing to ensure a smooth and efficient electoral process across the state's 4,519 polling units and 211 collation centers, which include 192 ward centers to local government collation centers and the state collation center in Benin City, stressing that as part of its preparation for the polls, INEC has increased its financial support to transport unions from the election logistics. Additionally, the Commission has been engaging with various stakeholders ranging from political parties and civil society groups to community leaders to ensure that the electoral process is transparent and inclusive, adding that the Commission will deploy more than 18,000 ad hoc staff for the poll, while based on INEC staffing structure, each of the 4,519 polling units in Edo State will require a team of 4 officers comprising a presiding officer and 3 assistant presiding officers. In addition to the POS and APOS, INEC will also dispatch supervisory presiding officers to manage operations at various polling units across the state. Independent National Electoral Commission on Thursday morning began the distribution of sensitive materials to the 18 local government areas in Edo State. The distribution is being done on the premises of the Central Bank of Nigeria at Akpabava Junction, located at Ring Road, Benin. The hired vehicles that will convey the materials to various locations are already stationed beside the CBN, and the area was closed to commercial activities as buses plied one way to enter and exit the area. Journalists from both print and electronic media besieged the venue to capture the moment. The State Resident Electoral Commission, Onoha Onugbum, supervised the distribution of the material and development to journalists inside the central bank before the commencement of the distribution of materials. And party officials were also at the venue to monitor the distribution process. Despite the early morning drizzle, the distribution team moved under the canopy set for other stakeholders to continue the process. Ahead of the Saturday gubernatorial election, the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki says his party, the People's Democratic Party, will accept the outcome of a properly conducted election. The governor stated this on Thursday in a post on his official X handle while sharing updates on his meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Christopher Gwabing Musa. Obaseki said his major demand was for the Edo people to be allowed to freely go to the polls to elect the candidates of their choice. Taiwo Lakanu retired and will include other high-ranking staff. He said the monitoring of election duties to be civil, smart, but strict in enforcing the electoral laws, adding that the lead agency in internal security, which includes the security of elections, the police in Edo elections, should exhibit strong leadership qualities expected of them. He also said the commission will discipline any police officer who fails to conduct himself in a manner deserving of his office, adding that the success or failure of the election depends on the effectiveness of the police officers on duty, and commission will also command officers who exhibit exemplary conduct during the elections. Analyst says it is unethical for the Nigerian police to disclose their operational tactics in the forthcoming election in Edo State. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, a political analyst, Ugochukwu Ifeanyi, said it is extremely unethical for the police to disclose its tactical operation strategy to the public.
On plain clothes, they should not.
To forestall the breakdown of law and order, plainclothes policemen from the Criminal Investigation Department, Special Investigation Bureau, and Ugbori Abuochiche Gakem criminality. In his remarks, the Speaker of the Assembly, Right Honorable Albert Ayabim, commended members for their commitment to improving the lives of Cross-Riverians through people-oriented legislation. Candidates into 17 chairmanship and 260 ward councillorship positions in Enugu State. The chairman of NCEC, Professor Christian Ngu, said at least one security personnel would be provided at each of the 4,145 polling units in the 17 council areas of the state, adding that the commission had received and kept in safe custody all the non-sensitive materials for the council polls. Meanwhile, the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mba, led his deputy Ifeanyi Osai, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Uche Ugu, the lawmaker representing Enugu West Senatorial District, Senator Osita Ngu, among the state chairman of the PDP, Dr. Martin Chukwumuke, said the party had visited the 17 local government areas in the past weeks and expressed happiness with the massive turnout and support of the people for the party. Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, Titilola Vivor Adeniyi, says the agency handles an average of 300 domestic violence cases on a monthly basis in the last 10 years, while 6,333 survivors had been assisted. Stakeholders, including the police, restated their commitment to tackling sexual and gender-based violence in Lagos State. While addressing journalists, the Executive Secretary, Titilola Vivor Adeniyi, said the culture of silence in matters involving sexual violence was gradually being broken. adding that with the establishment of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team by the state government, the response to SGBV cases had been more effective. She said the program was also in partnership with the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, while the Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2, Onikon, has ordered the demolition of structures following an imminent building collapse at the Mopol 20 barracks, Onigbongbo, in the Ikeja area of the state. This is coming after the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency commenced an emergency evacuation and demolition of the old Block 3 part of the barracks. A statement by the Permanent Secretary of LASEMA, Damilola Osaitolu, said its response team had assessed some parts of the structure and found them in a precarious condition, adding that the building and adjacent structures would also be evacuated immediately to prevent any loss of life or property. The agency dispatched a response team to the location, and the findings indicate that the building and those adjacent must be evacuated with immediate effect, and conducted a response plan which comprises an assessment, safe and orderly evacuation, and controlled demolition, and urged members of the public within the vicinity to remain calm and refrain from spreading misinformation on social media. He also assured the public that the situation was being closely monitored and managed. Lagos State government has decried the use of substandard materials by building contractors, saying it poses high risks to lives and investments. The government charged engineers on collective and deliberate professional contributions in averting building disasters across Lagos State. The general manager of the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory Agency, Olayinka Abdul, disclosed these to a team of executive members of the Nigerian Institute of Builders in her office. According to a statement by the spokesperson of the agency, Salehu Badejo Abimbola, the general manager called for a working synergy amongst all construction professionals in curbing all forms of mediocrity that aggravates episodes of building collapse in Lagos State, saying understanding bits of every specialization gives genuine craftsmanship. She said the use of substandard materials poses high risks to lives and investments, hence the need for adherence to regulations that govern the construction industry, especially as it relates with specific purposes for construction, whether for residential or commercial purposes. Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Corps, also known as SKY, has sealed off Idera Market, located in the Oshodi area of the state, for violating environmental laws. The Corps Marshal, Major Olani Kul, retired, who disclosed this, said the move was part of intensified efforts to ensure adherence to environmental cleanliness across registered markets in the state. He decried the unimpressive level of hygiene at the markets, which he described as capable of causing illness and disease outbreaks to market vendors and buyers alike, adding that markets must imbibe hygienic practices to prevent the spread of diseases. He also highlighted how the market's leadership was unable to provide a valid waste collection contract, citing the infraction as the lead cause of refuse heaps in the markets, and also warned other markets across the state to maintain an acceptable level of hygiene, as SKY operatives will constantly monitor market environments for contraventions. He warned that any markets found erring will be sealed off until total compliance is achieved. Osun State Police Command has arrested 7 suspects of possessing of human body parts. The police, who disclosed these while parading the suspects at the command headquarters in Osogbo, said in the course of investigation, search were conducted at the residences of the suspects, which led to the recovery of fragments of substances suspected to be human skull at Asaka Ralph. Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Giwa Alade Emmanuel also said suspected human bone fragments, a female pant and notebooks were recovered as exhibits from the suspects at the point of arrest. Similarly, the police paraded Taiwo Adekunle, Adebayo Okpeyemi, Hassan Ibrahim, Oba Wasiu and Olajide Oladapo for alleged armed robbery. Analyst has advocated for the need to thoroughly checkmate the activities in mosques against the unlawful use of corpses for rituals. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Society Watch, a public affairs analyst, Chukwu Ikechukwu, tasked the federal government on the need to supervise and regulate mortuary activities as well as adequate sensitization of citizens.
But they say, but again, it also questions the system. It probably shows that there is a lapse in the system. I mean, in the mortuary management system. I don't know which of the mortuary, if it's a government owned, then it means that they have to tighten up their security, and it also means that society needs to be enlightened more. This craze for ritual, if you push further now, you realize that this ritual may not be far from money ritual. Even though it's not stated there, but that's the craziest thing people do now. Everybody, you know, this craze for, that's the most common ritual you see most people.
Ikechukwu suggested that unclaimed corpses in mortuaries across the country can be retrieved for academic purposes.
But unclaimed corpses in the mortuary, rather than use it for rituals, they can be used for more productive. I mean, used as cadavers in schools, medical schools for learning and all those. So, I mean, it's not something that one should think of in this 21st century, to think that people buy.
This is coming after the Osun State Police Command arrested 7 suspects for selling human parts and water used to bathe corpses in the state. A statement signed by the acting police public relations officer Ede, who had paid him a courtesy visit, and recalled how agitation by the Ede community led to the establishment of the Polytechnic. Said since the school was founded, indigents of the host community had been contributing to nurturing it. He advised that residents of the host community should be engaged in the execution of projects by the institution's management, as that would give them a sense of belonging. And earlier in his remarks, the institution's governing council chairman, Professor Taiwo Olaiya, urged a delegate to give a landmark project to the institution, adding that the purpose of the visit was to present the new governing council members to the governor. Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Kwara State, Dr. Umar Muhammad, has deployed over 3,000 personnel for the Saturday council polls across the 16 local government areas of the state. Dr. Umar disclosed that the personnel were drawn from the state command, area commands, and divisional offices in all the 16 council areas. The commandant, in a statement by the spokesman of the command, Ayula Michael Shola, in Ilorin, said the deployed officers will man various polling units and synchronize efforts with sister security agencies to ensure the peaceful conduct of the election on September 21st, 2024. Umar warned that the NSCDC would not tolerate any form of political thuggery, violence, or hooliganism, adding that any action aimed at disrupting the electoral process will be met with immediate and decisive action, and also appealed to political parties and citizens to cooperate fully with security agencies and avoid any action that could undermine the peaceful conduct of the elections. Federal High Court in Abuja has set September 23, 2024 as a new date for delivering judgment in a case seeking the removal of Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje as the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress. Justice Inyang Ekwo, who heard the suit, had originally fixed September 18 for judgment. The lawsuit, filed by the North Central APC Forum and led by Saleh Zazaga, challenges Ganduje's appointment as APC national chairman on the grounds that he is from Kano State in the Northwest geopolitical zone, whereas the position previously held by Senator Abdullahi Adamu from the North Central should remain within that region according to the APC constitution. The plaintiff argues that Ganduje's appointment violates Article 31.5 subsection 1 of the APC Constitution and exceeds the authority of the party's National Executive Committee. They are asking the court to bar Ganduje from acting as the APC chairman and to prevent the Independent National Electoral Commission from recognizing any party actions under his leadership since his appointment on August 3, 2023. Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have besieged the Kogi State Government Lodge in Abuja in an attempt to arrest former Governor Yahaya Bello. The director of Yahaya Bello's media office, Ohiare Michael, raised the alarm in a statement on Wednesday night titled, "Despite Voluntary Visit, EFCC Officials Surround Kogi Government Lodge." Abuja in an attempt to forcefully arrest former Governor Yahaya Bello. Fire gunshots. This is coming after the ex-governor's media team and the anti-grafts agency were engaged in a verbal dispute over the controversial visit of the ex-governor to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja, and the ex-governor finally surrendered himself and visited the EFCC headquarters months after being declared wanted by the anti-graft agency over an alleged 80.2 billion naira fraud. Michael said Bello went to the EFCC headquarters voluntarily to clear his name, but the anti-grafts agency refused to return to him, while the spokesman for the EFCC in a statement insisted that Bello was not in the custody of the anti-grafts agency. And the Bello's media office raised the alarm about attempts by EFCC operatives to arrest Bello at the Kogi Government Lodge in Abuja. Reacting, the anti-grafts agency spokesperson Dele Oyewale denied that the former governor was in its custody, adding that Bello remained wanted, while a statement by its director said Bello was at the EFCC office alongside his successor, Usman Ododo Michael, who alleged that the EFCC did not interrogate him. Commissioner of Police Kaduna State Command, Audu Dabigi, has decorated 13 newly promoted senior police officers serving in the command. These followed the recommendation of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Adeolu Betoku, and approved by the Police Service Commission, according to a statement by the command's police relations officer, Mansar Hassan, ASP in Kaduna, on Thursday. The ceremony was held at the command's headquarters along Bida Road in the metropolis, and those promoted is the area commander of Kafanchan, Assistant Commissioner of Police Danladi Ibrahim, who has been elevated to Deputy Commissioner of Police, while Ibrahim served in the area command for nearly 4 years, maintaining peace and stability in the region. 2 officers were also promoted from Chief Superintendent of Police to Assistant Commissioner of Police, including CSP Aminu Lawan, who has served as Police Public Relations Officers PPRO at the command twice. CP Dabigi congratulated the newly promoted officers and urged them to continue performing their duties with professionalism, diligence, and a deep sense of responsibility, and emphasized the importance of integrity, serving with the fear of God, and adhering to the rule of law. Katsina State Governor Diko Rada has extended a hand of solidarity to flood victims in Borno State, presenting a 100 million naira check to support recovery efforts. Rada, on behalf of the government and people of Katsina, visited Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, and offered condolences and aid in the wake of the recent devastating floods. During the visit, Governor Rada handed over the donation to Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, noting that the funds were meant to assist those affected by the disaster. A statement by his chief press secretary, Ibrahim Mohammed, the governor expressed deep concern over the scale of the disaster, describing it as one of the most severe in recent times. Rada was accompanied by prominent personalities, including the Emir of Daura, Alhaji Umar, the Speaker of the Katsina State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Nasir Daura, and the Chief of Staff to the Governor, Alhaji Abdullahi Sori. Chairman of the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, Telumun Tombowa, says 8 political parties are expected to participate in the upcoming local government election. Addressing journalists in Makurdi, Tombowa also stated that no courts can stop the conduct of the election except God, while the BCEC chairman, who promised a free and fair election, explained that the law establishing the commission does not permit the use of a bimodal voter accreditation machine or the election. Tombowa said the National Working Committee of the ruling APC had written to the commission regarding the 7-man committee appointed to oversee the party's affairs in the state, adding that only 8 political parties will be participating in the upcoming election. The commission chairman, however, alleviated concerns about the possibility of any aggrieved APC group seeking a court order to restrain the commission from conducting the election, stating that the law establishing the commission as amended forbids the courts from interfering in the electoral process. Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf has dissolved the caretaker chairman of all 44 local government areas with immediate effect. A statement released by the governor's spokesperson Sanusi Bature said the dissolution comes a week after the State House of Assembly approved a 2-month extension to their tenure, which was initially set to expire on September 8th. Their extension, according to lawmakers, was intended to ensure continuity in local governance while local government elections are scheduled to take place on 26 October. Yusuf has directed the caretaker chairman to hand leadership to their respective directors of personal management and expressed gratitude to the caretaker chairman for their contributions to the development of their areas and suggested potential future collaboration. National chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, says there is no iota of truth in the allegation linking him to a fresh plot to unseat the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II. The rebuttal comes in the wake of a viral report circulating on social media with a caption that reads, "Ganduje leads a fresh plot to dethrone Emir Mohammed Sanusi." This comes after the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria was dethroned during Ganduje's administration as the governor of the state, while his dismissal was equally validated by the court, a judgment many believed was probably influenced by the immediate past government. But in a statement released in Abuja on Thursday, Ganduje, who spoke through his senior special assistant on public enlightenment, dissociated himself from the alleged move to remove the 16th Emir of Kano and chairman of the Council of Chiefs, adding that he had nothing to do with the present enthronement or dethronement of Emir Mohammed Sanusi in Kano, as he is no longer the executive governor of the Speaker of the House of Assembly and therefore cannot have anything to do further with the emirship of Kano. He said those who are behind the sinister move is to malign the APC national chairman and have revealed the clandestine and dangerous motive of the sponsors to create bad blood between Ganduje and the presidency. Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad has alleged that the crisis within the People's Democratic Party is caused by the ruling All Progressive Congress. He raised the accusation on Thursday during a courtesy visit by the PDP Board of Trustees, led by Senator Adolphus Wabara, at the Government House in Bauchi. Mohammed, who is also chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, alleged that the APC planted moles within the PDP to keep them informed and stressed the need to close ranks, stressing that the challenge is not insurmountable, as it would be overcome by the grace of God, insisting they would find a solution. Mohammed expressed delight with the PDP's capacity to address its crisis, saying that the APC does not have people who can perform like the members, as it is a recognition that the PDP has the human capital to deliver Nigeria. Senator Wabara, on his part, explained that the delegation aimed to discuss the party's crisis, particularly in Rivers State and the election of a substantive national chairman, stressing that members of the board are a select few who have the future of the party at heart and assured of the PDP's capacity to rescue Nigeria despite concerns, lamenting that they are not happy with what is happening in the party and don't think Nigerians are happy, adding that they know how to address issues and resolve issues in PDP and will not allow the factionalization of ideas or positions to divide them. Donations to the Borno State government from various quarters, including the federal government, have crossed 17 billion naira. This is coming after former President Olusegun Obasanjo sent his sympathy to the people and government of Borno State over the massive flood that ravaged the state capital, Maiduguri, last week, killing at least 30 and displacing over 1 million. Obasanjo, in a sympathy message to the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, described the disaster as unfortunate and commended the government for its swift and courageous response to the situation, and urged Zulum to maximize the crisis to showcase his leadership in the midst of disaster of this nature that the qualities of good leadership encourage. The humanitarian coordinator of the United Nations in Nigeria, Mohammed Fall, also announced a sum of $6 million with approximately 10 billion naira in donations to the state government to support flood victims in Borno State. The state government has also received a monetary donation from the president of the Aliko Dangote Group. Aliko Dangote, who last Friday announced 1 billion naira for the flood victims. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not attend the 79th United Nations General Assembly session in New York this year. A statement signed by Special Advisor to the President, Bayo Onanuga, revealed that Tinubu has directed Vice President Kashim Shettima to lead Nigeria's delegation at UNGA 79. Vice President Shettima will deliver Nigeria's national statement to the General Assembly to settle the appeal the appellant filed challenging his removal as Chief Justice of Nigeria. At the resumed hearing in the appeal, the lead counsel to the former CJN, Dr. Ogu Onoja, told the three-member panel of justices of the appellate's court that the two parties in the suit are already having discussions on a peaceful resolution of the dispute, while the parties have been in discussion up until Wednesday, September 18th. He expressed hope that the discussion would end up with a fruitful result and asked the court to give them a one-month adjournment for the final settlement of the matter. While the lawyer to the federal government, Tijani Ghazali, did not object to Onoja's submission, but rather gave support to it and asked the court to shift the matter forward for a possible amicable settlement. Justice J.O. Oyewole, who presided over today's sitting, directed both parties to file terms of settlement for adoption when eventually agreed upon, and also ordered them to document the terms of the settlement and file before the adjourned date for the court to adopt as its judgment in the matter, and fixed November 4 as the return dates for the two parties. This is coming after former President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2019 removed Justice Onogen as the Chief Justice of Nigeria following a charge leveled against him bordering on false declaration of his assets, where the Code of Conduct Tribunal had found him guilty and removed from office. And in view of this removal, Onogen was also made to forfeit the undeclared assets to the federal government as well as his 5 bank accounts. People's Democratic Party in Sokoto State has queried what it termed outrageous spending of Governor Ahmed Ali's administration in the state in the face of economic hardship. A statement by its public relations officer Hassan Sanyinawal said the PDP find it regrettable that under Ahmed Aliu, Sokoto State is right now proving to be the pacesetters in governmental financial recklessness, adding that the party defended the administration of the immediate past governor, Aminu Tambuwal, against the allegations of 16.1 billion naira shares diversion. It condemned the current administration for its controversial procurement and expenditure, stating that it was the most scandalous in the history of the state's leadership. It also said the governor's spending was also causing concern and drawing opposition from within its political party. The All Progressive Congress, as discontent was fast spreading through the ranks of the party, and expressed sadness over the current situation in the state, lamenting that the state was catching the attention of the nation for a negative reason. The party said, contrary to reports from the current administration, Tambuwal and his executive council willingly appeared before the Commission of Inquiry whenever they were summoned, while the state petitioned the Commission for Inquiry against the alleged diversion of 16.1 billion naira worth of shares through the state investment company by the immediate past administration. Analyst has tasked the federal government. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Atlantic Blowout, a socio-political analyst, Mufasa Ehimoson, expressed displeasure following the federal government's inability to tackle the issue of flooding resulting from the annual dam water release from neighboring countries.
You know, the channel, the River Benue channel that they just mentioned, and up till this moment, the Nigerian government has not deemed it expedient to build a dam that will receive the waters if those waters are released. You know, we always like to be reactional as a people, and for me, that is a very sad, you know, is a tragedy. And I don't know what the government, what they enjoy by seeing the people suffer, you know, for their ineptitude.
Ehimosa decries poor palliative delivery to victims.
Vigilance as a government by building something to solve this problem once and for all. Rather, we prefer to, you know, when the flood happens, we bring out billions, you know, we vote out billions of naira. Perhaps it's an avenue for some persons in government to channel some money into their pockets. Because if we decided as a people as a government to build a dam, which for me is not rocket science. All the
This is coming after Nigeria's government had warned possible flooding in 11 states following the release of water from a dam in neighboring Cameroon, while the Nigerian Hydrological Agency said recently that water would be released from the Lagdo Dam gradually and could cause flooding. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the federal government is working towards decriminalizing attempted suicide in the country. He disclosed these on Thursday in Abuja at a news conference to commemorate the 2024 World Suicide Prevention Day, which is marked globally on September 10th every year. The commemoration has changing the narrative on suicide as the theme for 2024. Adding that suicide is criminalized in the country, but there have been several calls from stakeholders to decriminalize it, stressing that under Section 327 of the Criminal Code Act, it states, any person who attempts to kill himself is guilty of a misdemeanor and is liable to imprisonment for 1 year. Pate said that the ministry had launched the National Suicide Strategic Framework 2023 to 2030 to enhance mental health and assist in the prevention of suicide. While represented by the ministry's permanent secretary, Daju Kacholom, the minister said the document clearly identifies the risks and protective factors associated with suicide in the country. It also identifies the strategic objectives, interventions, and indicators for suicide prevention in line with the international best practices. The minister also said available data on suicide in Nigeria is reported at 12.9 per 100,000, which is high, adding that the suicide rates are particularly high among young people aged 15 to 29 years, making it the fourth leading cause of death in this age group in Africa, accounting for 40% of all suicide deaths, stressing that the statistics may not fully reflect the true prevalence of suicide in Africa, as the reporting and stigma surrounding mental health issues remain significant barriers to accurate reporting. The country representative of the World Health Organization, Dr. Walter Mulombo, said for every suicide, there are likely to be 20 other people attempting suicide, and many more who have serious thoughts of suicide and should be prevented as soon as possible. Ijaw National Congress has set up a 7-man committee to probe and resolve the crisis in the Ijaw Youth Council. The president of the Congress, Professor Benjamin Okaba, set up the committee as part of the resolution reached by the body at its last stakeholders meeting held in Warri, the Delta State capital. A statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the INC, Ezonobi Oyakemagbega, said the IYC election, which was held in the Abuloma area of Port Harcourt last Saturday, degenerated into chaos, allegedly leaving 2 persons dead, while the election organized by the Ijaw Youth Council Central Zone to elect new executives had initially been postponed but was rescheduled for last Saturday. The committee set up by the INC in the wake of this unfortunate development is tasked to identify the immediate and remote cause of the persistent crisis in the Ijaw Youth Council, meets with the parties to resolve the internal crisis in the exco of the council, and resolve the issues of double presidency in the Ijaw Youth Council. The statement averred that the committee is expected to submit its reports to the president of the INC within 2 weeks. Indigenous people of Biafra says it had no intention to force Igbo people to resign from the Nigerian army and other security agencies. The separatist group also denied the Nigerian Army's allegations that its members abducted and assaulted a soldier sent to the southeast to spy on the Biafra movement. The Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, had claimed in a press statement on Sunday that Simon Ekpa, a self-proclaimed leader of IPOB, circulated a video showing the torture of retired Corporal Toriola Adewale while the Nigerian army strongly condemned the alleged assault on the retired soldier, which it attributed to IPOB members. According to him, the IPOB Directorate of State has long distanced itself from Simon Ekpa, but the Nigerian army continues to link IPOB with Ekpa to tarnish the group's reputation, adding that IPOB does not have an army and will not establish one until Biafra is restored, adding that IPOB operates only the Eastern Security Network, an armed vigilante group targeting marauding Fulani terrorists. Chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Dr. Musa Aliyu, SAN, has vowed to enforce the verdict of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy at all cost. Speaking at a one-day National Anti-Corruption Coalition members hybrid interactive forum held at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja on Thursday, Aliyu warned those plotting to go against the law to check his records and also revealed that within the last 24 hours, the Commission has recovered about 4 billion naira stolen by public office holders. The ICPC boss wondered why some government officials would keep billions of public funds in their possession, will deploy technological measures, especially artificial intelligence, to unravel corrupt practices easily. National Examinations Council has released the results of the June-July 2024 Senior School Certificate Examination, with 60.55% of candidates securing 5 credits and above in English language and mathematics. The Registrar of NECO, Professor Dantani Ibrahim Wushishi, who disclosed these at the NECO headquarters on Thursday in Mina, Niger State, said a total of 1,376,423 candidates comprising 706,950 males and 669,473 females registered for the exam. The registrar, however, revealed that 40 schools were found to be involved in mass cheating during the examination, while 21 supervisors were recommended for blacklisting due to poor supervision, aiding and abetting, as well as abscondment, extortion, drunkenness, and negligence in 12 states. He urged candidates who sat for the examination to analyst has stressed the need for the federal government to abstain from diversionary measures, issues, and focus on the present economic situation facing the country. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Atlantic Blowout, a political analyst, Ekie, called on the federal government to speedily tackle the issues of hardship and the hike in inflation across Nigeria's economic sector.
Countries that even have Talibans are even striving. That is, they know them as a terrorist nation. They have terrorist group in that country. They are making progress.
In view of a unified identity database, Ekie expressed disappointment, highlighting series of identity exercise already undertaken by Nigerians.
Card, right? So I think we have, I don't want to talk about international passport because only when you want to travel you can resort to that. But there are several, identification exercises that government have introduced on Nigerians, and unfortunately they are not free.
This is coming after the federal government disclosed that majority of the people giving the country a bad name in diaspora were foreigners carrying Nigerian identity. Consequently, it said plans were underway to harmonize the citizenship database for effective individual and corporate identity management. We move on to business news now. Federal government has called on agencies recruiting for the private sector to adhere to 70,000 minimum wage, warning that any deviation would not be tolerated. According to the federal government, the new minimum wage is necessary to address the current economic reality, adding that no Nigerian worker, whether in government or private employment, should be paid less than the minimum wage. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Kacholum Daju, who disclosed this while speaking at the 13th Annual General Meeting of the Employers Association of Private Employment Agencies of Nigeria, held in Ikeja, Lagos, was represented by the Director of Employment and Wages for the Ministry, John Iyamali, said the minimum wage is now a law, and as a result, and it is a punishable crime for any employer to pay less than 70,000 naira to any of its workers. He said the private employment agencies should make it compulsory in any contracts they take from their principal that their workers should not earn less than the minimum wage, stressing that the less paid worker in Nigerians should earn 70,000 naira after all deductions, while the federal government is committed to ensuring that the least paid worker goes home with 70,000 naira. In his remarks, the president of the Employers Association of Private Employment Agencies of Nigeria, Dr. Olufemi Ogunlowo, asked the government and Nigerian Labour Congress to clarify whether the 70,000 naira minimum wage is net or gross, stating that all ambiguities in the act should be highlighted and explained. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says security operatives uncovered 218 incidents of oil theft in the Niger Delta region, while 31 persons were arrested in connection to oil theft in the period under review. The NNPC said in Rivers State, 4 illegal pipelines said to be cleverly hidden and connected to a crude oil line were exposed, adding that between September 7 and 13, 2024, a total of 218 incidences were recorded across several locations in the Niger Delta region from various incident sources like Tantita Security Agency, Shell Petroleum Development Company, Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, Martin Engineering Nigeria Limited, Owando PLC, NNPC Limited's Command and Control Centers, and government security agencies. The incidents were spread across different corridors, 32 in the Western Corridor, while 61 in the Central Corridor, as well as 77 in the Eastern Corridor and 48 in deep blue water. This comes after, in the past, the Group Managing Director of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, had blamed oil theft as a major challenge to Nigeria's crude oil production. Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, Haitham Al-Gais, has condemned tax imposition by major oil-consuming countries, stressing that it is not oil prices as the primary driver of fuel cost. His comments come as Nigeria experienced several petrol pump price hikes in the last 1 year, while the latest was on Monday when the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited announced an additional pump price hike in its retail outlets between 950 naira per litre and 1,019.22 naira per litre. Speaking on the factors responsible for fuel price hikes, Al-Gais explained that the prices paid by consumers at the pump were determined by various factors, including the price of crude oil, refining, transportation, marketing costs, oil company margins, and taxes. According to Al-Gais, revenues generated from oil sales are often reinvested by oil-producing countries into the oil sector, while OPEC member countries reinvested a substantial portion of the revenue into exploration, production, and transportation projects, adding that consuming countries' governments received significant revenue from taxes imposed on petroleum products. This is coming after, in 2023, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development's average share of total tax on the final retail price increased year on year and amounted to approximately 44%, while for many consumers, taxation can be a more significant factor than the original price for crude. In feeling any pinch in the pocket at the pump price, adding that it is a sovereign right for countries and governments to develop their taxation systems. But when there is talk of concerns about the effect of high prices on the disposable income of populations, it is important to remember how much of tax is flowing to finance ministries around the world. Israel has warned that a new era of war was beginning, adding that Israel tacitly acknowledged its role in shock twin attacks targeting Hezbollah that have pushed the Middle East back to the brink of wider conflict. This is coming after Lebanon was rocked by more deadly blasts as walkie-talkies detonated in Beirut and the south of Lebanon. The developments came almost exactly 24 hours after explosions targeting the pages of Hezbollah members killed multiple people, including children, and injured more than 450 injured in Wednesday's explosions, citing Lebanon's health ministry. However, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant appeared to reference the attacks during a visit on Wednesday to the Ramat David Air Force Base in northern Israel. Here now is ATN Sports News. Manchester United are now looking to pull down Old Trafford if a new €2 billion mega stadium is approved. New minority owner of the club, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, has made no secret of his desire to build a new ground. In a bid to achieve this, Ratcliffe set up the Old Trafford Regeneration Task Force, which has Lord Cole and Gary Neville in February project. Now we move on to entertainment news. One of the loading crypto singer CK has taken a swipe at some of his colleagues whom he claimed mocked him when he started his own version of Afrobeats, but were now copying his style. He claimed he pioneered many vibes Afrobeats artists, thrived and recalled starting the trend of promoting Afrobeat songs on TikTok and how he was mocked. He said many of his colleagues who mocked him back then are now doing the same. And that's it on the global news for tonight. Before we go another look at the major stars, we told you that INEC begins distribution of materials in Edo. INEC sets up panel to probe IYC. Tinubu sends delegation to UN Assembly. OPEC condemns tax imposition. Israel wants Hezbollah over Middle East war. Manchester United set to quit Old Trafford. CK speaks about colleagues. And that's it on the global news for today. I am Victor Peter. Thank you so much for watching on behalf of the media team of Atlantic Television Network. Remember, you can follow us on our social media platforms. On Twitter is at Atlantic Television Network. YouTube, Facebook and YouTube Atlantic Television Network. Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress.